Are morning routines really necessary? And if so, how can I replace the boredom they create with excitement? Are you a person that starts morning routines only to find that you lose interest in them? I was that person also, until I started what I call the SongBox routine. Morning and evening routines are more than just habits. They're powerful tools that set the tone for your entire day and ensure you end in a positive note. Routines act as anchors, helping you maintain consistency, manage stress, keep your goals in focus. A well-designed morning routine can kickstart your day with energy and purpose. The true power of a morning routine is it provides time to prepare mentally and physically for the day ahead. A successful morning routine might include activities like meditation, mindfulness, clearing your mind, physical exercise, breakfast. Additionally, setting aside a few minutes to review your goals or plan for your day can help you prioritize tasks and maintain focus. By taking control of your morning, you set a positive and productive tone that can influence your entire day. The less talked about evening routines now are equally just as important, as they help you wind down from the day, reflect on your achievements, and prepare you for restful sleep. A good evening routine might include journaling, where you're reflecting on your day's successes, reading to relax your mind, practicing gratitude to end the day on a positive note, establishing a consistent bedtime routine, including screen time reduction, can also improve your sleep quality, which is crucial for maintaining the energy and focus for the next day. Both morning and evening routines are essential for maintaining the balance and achieving the long-term goals. They provide a structural framework that reduces decision fatigue and ensures important things don't get lost in the daily shuffle. Let's talk about some of the things that I do. Now, this works for me, so I'm sharing it with you. Take from it what works for you and discard the rest. I do some of my best work when I borrow a little from here and a little from there. It's like a great recipe. When I'm cooking, I like having the macro ingredients, the concept of the recipe, but then I add my own flair to it. I customize it. A little bit of salt, maybe I do a little extra garlic powder, chop up a little extra onion, whatever it may be. And that's what I'm suggesting you do here. Just because it works for me doesn't mean it will work for you, but it does offer a separate perspective on how and why to do morning routines. Now, first off, the kind of like the Bible of morning routines was written by Hal Elrod. It's called Miracle Morning. If you're new to routines, that's where I would start. I would start with reading Miracle Mornings and looking at his acronym SAVES. His acronym SAVES stands for Silence, Affirmations, Visualization, Save, Energy, Exercise, Reading, and Scribing or Journaling. He sat down and he said, what do most successful people do? And he looked at all the different attributes and actions that most successful people do. And he came up with those 6 attributes. These are 6 actions that they take every day to kind of hit that launching pad so that they can clear their mind and really hit the day running. One of the biggest complaints, it's a complaint. One of the biggest complaints I get, especially from people like myself, because I was one of the people that had this complaint, actually. My complaint was, I don't get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And some people will tell you, that's bullshit. Just, if you have the discipline, if it's something you really want to do, you'll get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And there is truth to that. Because when I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And I function perfectly fine. But I'm not willing to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every single day. It's just not how I feel my body works. For 30 years, I worked either nights or midnights. Now all of a sudden I'm just going to turn the switch off and say, all right, you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day. It didn't work for me. I tried doing it, and it would work for a a certain amount of time, but it didn't work for me. So I don't think getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning is a requirement to a strong morning routine. I think, or not think, but successful people typically run businesses or typically have W-2s, right? Like they have things that are going on at 8 o'clock in the morning, 7, 8, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. So they have to get up at 5 o'clock to start their routine because their actual physical day starts somewhere between 7 and 9 or 10. So they need that extra time to get things rolling. My day starts at 7-ish, not at 5. And I do the same things. So my day starts at 7-ish, and then 7 to like 9-ish is where my kind of morning routine happens. If you have that flexibility, you can start your morning routine 7, 8 o'clock. I know very successful people that don't get up till 10 o'clock in the morning because they have that flexibility. If you don't have that flexibility, that's where that 5 a.m. comes in. You have to utilize what you have. You have to make it work for you. You have to be flexible. I think that routines defined are sequential actions. It's kind of very rigid. But Tony Robbins says that we, as humans, have 6 essential needs. Two of those needs are going to sound contradictory. The first human need, we need consistency. The second human need, we need uncertainty. Whoa! What do you mean we need consistency and uncertainty? And they're both human needs. We need it. Yes. That uncertainty, that variety in life adds that spice to life. Life would be very boring if we didn't have that uncertainty. When I was doing morning routines, I was learning morning routines. And we all do morning routines, by the way. We all have a morning routine. Let's start there. Let's start with we all have a morning routine. We all wake up. We do the same thing. We either grab our phone or we jump out of bed. We use the restroom. We take a shower. We brush our teeth. We have our coffee. We have our breakfast. We run out of the house. We get if you really look at the first 2 hours of your day, you will see that you kind of do the repetitive actions. They may be done differently, but you have a certain routine. Albert Einstein says that we can't solve our problems with the same thinking that created those problems. So we can't change our lives with the same routines or behaviors that created our lives. Morning routines, when we're intentional about them, help us change our lives. We're changing our behaviors so that those behaviors create a different outcome. If we're looking for a different outcome, we need to change the input that we're putting in. Morning routines help do that. So what does my morning routine look like? My morning routine looks like the SongBox version of it. I was or am a preschool owner, and in the preschool, every morning we have a routine, right? The children stand up, they say the Pledge of Allegiance, then they go to their circle time, and in circle time we sing the song, the Days of the Week song, we sing the weather song, what the weather is outside, we read a book, and we sing songs. And this is where that certainty comes in, right? The kids know exactly what's happening, but the way we spice it up, the way we keep it interactive, the way we add a little bit more excitement to it, is we have a SongBox. So we'll pick a student, the student will pick a song out of the SongBox, and nobody knows what that song is until we actually say the name of the song. And then we sing that song. And when I was standing there watching the teachers do this, I thought to myself, that could be my answer. Maybe I don't have to be so rigid in my routine of doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Now, I believe in consistency, right? Discipline equals freedom is about doing those things that you don't necessarily want to do, but will move the needle. Jerry Seinfeld says that he wrote jokes. He sat down for, I don't know how long, but let's say 3 hours a day. He sat down every day for 3 hours, and he would write jokes, and then he would mark it off on his calendar. You need that consistency. But if we can make it exciting somehow, if we can add a little bit, just a sprinkle. Remember that recipe I was talking about? Just a sprinkle of uncertainty in there. It keeps the mind from entering into that boredom, and you then stop doing what you were doing. I was starting my morning routines. I was all motivated, and then that motivation, that energy would fizz out. And this was, the SongBox is how I brought that motivation, that excitement back. So what is the SongBox, and how do we relate it to routines? I have certain activities that are part of my routines. So I wake up about the same time every day. I go to sleep about the same time every day. I think that's really important to keep our body on a certain sleep routine. I think sleep is one of the number one things that help keep us healthy and energize us. But when I wake up in the morning, I have a SongBox, let's say, of activities that I can do. Drink a glass of water. Take my vitamins. Do my exercise. That exercise can be anything from a couple of jumping jacks and squats and push-ups to a half-a-mile walk, a 5-mile walk, a run, a HIIT session, high-intensity workout, 15 minutes. Sometimes I exercise for 5 minutes. Sometimes I exercise for a half an hour. That's where you get that variety into your morning routine, so it's not the same conundrum over and over and over again. You spice things up a little bit. Your mind needs that to keep it sharp, to keep it guessing. Your mind likes the consistency of the routine, but it also likes the guess too. So you have to find the right balance for you. So I'll do visualization, I'll do meditation, I will do exercise, I will do journaling. The one thing that I always do is I'll fill out a gratitude journal. And we're going to talk about this journal in depth in one of these segments, but I will fill out a gratitude journal. And what the gratitude journal does is it gets my mind thinking about, all right, like the day's beginning, I'm starting to show my mind that the day's beginning. These are the things that I want to focus on. There's very specific writing prompts in the journal that gets my mind in tune to, okay, the game's on. Kind of like an athlete. Your morning routine, you ever see an athlete? The Olympics was just happening. You ever see those athletes, they just bouncing up and down, or they're staring off into space a little bit. They're just they're getting into their zone. Your morning routine helps you get into the zone for the day so that you can crush the challenges that are going to appear. The more successful you become, the more fires that there will be in your day that you need to take care of. And that's another reason why that 5 a.m. is so prevalent. Because at 5 a.m., the regular world, right, isn't up. Like, how many of your friends are up at 5 a.m. in the morning, starting their day in an intentional manner? Not the alarm goes off at 5 o'clock, I jump out of bed, I throw my clothes on and out the door. I go so that I can beat the traffic into the city. How many of your friends live that way? So we're being intentional. Some of the things that I physically do. So each day I wake up, I will visualize as I'm coming out of my sleep stupor, right? There's a good 5 minutes. If you're not waking up at an alarm and you're gradually coming out of your sleep because you're on that schedule, you're going to be in that am I awake stage? Am I not awake? You're going to be like in that foggy stage. In that stage, I start my visualization on whatever my big goal is for the quarter, the year, whatever I'm really working on. I will do a visualization right then. In the beginning, when I first started this, I would probably I had the intention of doing that, and I'd only do it once every 3 days. Now I'm doing it every morning, or just about every morning. I'll miss a day a week, but we're doing that visualization. From that visualization, I move into a glass of water, a little bit of salt. I use pink Himalayan. There's all sorts of research out there. Pink Himalayan, Celtic, Baja Gold. I'm not a scientist. This is what I do. It works for me. So a glass of water to rehydrate the body. And then I go into, I either come downstairs and I read, I come downstairs and I meditate, I come downstairs and I journal. Typically, I'll come downstairs and I'll read. I'll have a glass of tea or a cup of water. Huberman, don't yell at me for having a cup of coffee. I'm sorry. Huberman, don't yell at me for having coffee within the hour and a half. But it all depends on what I feel like I want at that moment. Like I let that variety enter into my routine. That's part of the SongBox. Am I going to have tea, or am I going to have coffee, or am I just going to have water? Am I going to read? Am I going to journal? Am I going to do exercise first? Right? So I will come down. Typically I read first, because that reading then allows me to journal. I will journal my thoughts on what I've read, or I will journal the things that are just popping into my mind. Sometimes I'll just sit in silence. That's part of Savers, but I will sit in silence and I will just see what floats to the top. This is really good when the house is quiet early in the morning. Just sit there and let's see what's ruminating in my mind, and then getting that out on paper. I will think about the things that I need to get done today. We're going to talk about that in a second when we get to what I do at night, because I actually set my morning up the night before. So I will have those list of things. Am I going to do exercise? And then I do 3 primary exercises, right? I will either do a couple of calisthenics, push-ups, sit-ups, burpees, squats. I will go for a walk, or I will do a HIIT session. I will get the blood flowing. I will read, and then I will journal. Now, I can do those things interchangeably. I really like, how do I feel in the morning is what I lead that to be. And I'll be honest with you, like sometimes I won't go for a walk if it's raining out, right? And then the HIIT session is what I end up doing. It's just, I kind of let that variety sink in. The other important thing I do is I start my morning the night before. How do I start my morning routine the night before? I actually write down the 3 things that I must accomplish the next day. Write them down. Now, I have the journal, so now I write it in the journal, but I used to write it on a Post-it. Just a regular Post-it note. Write it on the Post-it. 3 things, magic marker, 3 things that I'm going to get done. I would take that Post-it, put it right on my laptop when I come down in the morning. I would see it on my laptop. Boom, I knew exactly what I had to do. Get those 3 things done. Those were the priorities for the day. Why do I do that the night before? It sinks it into my subconscious. And when I start my sleep routine, my nighttime routine, to wind down, one of those nighttime routine things is I do that sleepy visualization as I'm going off to sleep. I'm going off to sleep thinking about the 3 things that I wrote down. What are those 3 things? What are some things that I can do to accomplish those 3 things? I'm planting the seed in my subconscious so that my subconscious can work on it overnight. You ever have a problem and you say, I'm going to sleep on it, and you sleep on it, and you wake up the next day, and all of a sudden the solution comes to you, and you're like, I'm not really sure how this solution came to me? It's because your subconscious worked on it. Your subconscious is doing all the work in the back of your mind. So I start my day off actually the night before by listing out my 3 priorities. Those 3 priorities is not a to-do list. It's not like I got to do the laundry, I got to split the wood, I got to buy the groceries. It's the 3 things that are going to move the needle on whatever it is that I'm physically working on in the moment, right? If I'm working on a book, what are the 3 things that I have to do to work on that book? If I'm building my health out, what are the 3 things I have to do to build my health out? If I'm starting a business, what are the 3 things? Am I doing online courses? What are the 3 things I have to do to get my coursework online? Like whatever it may be, those are the 3 things that I'm talking about. It's not a to-do list. These 3 things are things that are actually moving the needle. And then at the end of the year, you have like you have just under 550 items or action steps that you took towards your goal. How can you not start making forward progress if this is part of your routine, if this is what you're doing each and every day? So morning routines, let's do a quick recap, right? They don't have to be rigid. Find what works for you. Add a little variety. Throw in, all right, so today I'm going to do exercise, but tomorrow I'm going to do exercise in a HIIT. Tomorrow, my exercise doesn't have to be a HIIT. It could be a walk. The next day, it can be a hike. The next day, it could be a run. Like, find ways of throwing variety in. It keeps the mind guessing, just that little bit, that little sprinkle, and that will help you continue the routine for much, much longer. I've been successful now in my routines for years because I started putting my own flavor on it, right? I started a different way of doing it. Just because everybody says it's got to be done this way, sit back and say, does that work for me? If it doesn't work for you, find something that does. Try different things. Try and fail. Doesn't mean you're a failure. You just failed at that individual thing. So morning routines. I start my morning routine the evening before. That evening is the 3 things that I'm going to accomplish the next day. Then I wake up the next morning. I fill out my gratitude journal, which has very specific prompts in it. I do some reading, read 20 pages a morning on a topic that is either on my goal or a topic that is in personal development. Then, from there, it's exercise, visualization, meditation, whatever I'm feeling in the moment. Do a lot of journaling, and that journaling comes from what I've read and the things that are just popping into my head. I just get it all out. My subconscious wants to be heard, so I will journal all of that out. I will journal exactly how I'm feeling, the emotions I'm feeling, what I'm feeling in the moment, so that I can acknowledge it and see if those emotions happen at certain times and start piecing things together. Your morning routine is purely about setting your day up so that you can launch into a day with a clear mind and starting the day out in restfulness and calmness. Because let's face it, the higher level you are, and not even the higher level, in business it's the higher level you are, but your day is going to have hand grenades that go off. You're going to get a flat tire, your car battery is going to die, you're going to make a wrong turn, getting off the highway because you're just spacing out a little bit. The kid is going to get sick and you're going to have to go pick him up at school. Like, things are just going to happen. This is a way of kind of hitting that reset button and bringing calmness and restfulness into you so that you're rejuvenated for the day. Guys, we live up here in the numerator, not down here in the denominator. Go out there today and be unstoppable. I love spending time with you guys. Go out there, crush it. Ask your questions down below. You have questions, ask them. There are no dumb questions. Somebody pulled me up the mountain. It's my job now to pull you up the mountain. Ask the questions. There's no stupid questions. Most people don't ask questions because they feel like that question is going to make them appear stupid. I don't think you're stupid. I actually think you're brave, courageous, and you're a go-getter when you ask questions. Anybody abuses anybody that asks questions just gets kicked off the channel. It's that simple. I don't deal with drama. Guys, go out there and crush it today. Use this and crush it. Take what works for you, apply it to you, and crush it. Have a great day.